Right, here we go. BMW 6 Series E63. This is my personal car, and I'll be honest with you, I've just fallen in love with it again. I've had the car for a number of years. I've had a few problems with it, and now they're all sorted, touch wood. And I think it deserves a little bit of love. And what we're going to do today is we're going to fit a Bilstein B12 suspension kit, which is B8 uprated dampers, which are shorter, and then the matching IBAC Pro springs. And before we start anything, what I'm going to do is I am going to measure the gap from the floor. Well, I'm going to measure the distance from the floor to the top of each arch, so we've got a datum point to start with. So we're going to start off, excuse my measuring tape, and the fact I've left my camera stand at home today. I'm doing all this on my phone. So measuring tape at the bottom, up to the top there, we have 673, boom. So what I've done is offside, which is the driver's side in the UK, offside front and rear, near side front and rear. Now you'll see near side front to offside front, there's a 7mm difference. And on the rear, there's a 4mm difference. And it does my Sweden, it really does. But nothing is ever perfect. And obviously, maybe it's a little bit different when the driver's in the car or passenger's in the car or whatever. You know, we're not racing, we're not corner racing, we're not doing any of that. But I like the car to look right, and I like it to drive right. And the springs that are on it at the moment and standard dampers just aren't doing it for me. So with the car being so low, we're going to start off, we're going to jack the car up, and it's not as easy as it sounds. Oh, wish I had a ramp, wish I had a ramp. I keep saying I'm going to get one, but you know, I'd rather spend my money on uprated suspension than, you know, things to make my life easier. Is that going to go? This jacking point is right in the centre of the front subframe, so even though the car's uneven now, as I start to jack it up, it will even up. Jack it up high enough, and then I can get some axle stands under the jacking point, because, you know, safety first and all. Handbrake is on, tight. It is in park, it's an automatic. And I've got a chock behind the back wheel. It's on 2 axle stands and it's on the centre jack. In theory, it's not going anywhere, yeah. That extra little bit of time setting things up can most probably prevent a massive accident. Right. Obviously, I did crack the wheel nuts / bolts before I jacked it up, because I've done that before. Jack it up, and then you can't undo them. But I have. Because I'm a geezer. And let's have a look. Right, okie doke. We have got 12mm slide-on wheel spacer, longer bolts. We've got standard BMW shock absorber, which is a sash, I do believe. And we have got low springs. They've not been on there long. Before anyone asks, that is the correct seat for the spring. Exactly the right thing. So, yeah. The problem we've got is these shock absorbers are designed to work within a certain range. The piston inside there moves up and down, and basically it's a shock absorber. It absorbs the shock of the road and resets the spring. If that was knackered in there, the spring would just bounce, the car would just bounce up and down because it's on a spring. So, say the piston's meant to be there and move in this range, you lower the car, it's there and it's working with this range. It keeps hitting the bottom inside. So, although it looks very nice, we're going to fit something better, and let's go and have a look at what we're fitting. Right, here's the kit. IBAC Pro springs, very good, very nice. Bilstein B8 dampers, which I believe are similar to the B6. They're just shorter, for the shorter springs. And, oh, look at the size of the pistons on them. So, very nice. I believe this as a kit is now discontinued. I got this at a shockingly great deal, which I will discuss with you a little bit later. You won't believe the price I got this kit for delivered. It only arrived yesterday. It was that cheap when I saw it on the website. I can't believe it's actually turned up. So spanner. Obviously everything's going to come apart pretty easy because these have been off before, haven't they? But sometimes a simple job, just like undoing a bolt, can take ages, especially when it's seized or it's rusted or whatever. So before you start, it's always good to go around all the exposed nuts and bolts you need to take off and just get some anti-seize compound in there or some WD-40 or something like that. When you put everything back together, grease everything. You listen to me, grease it. As you can see, I put a jack underneath the lower arm, under the low ball joint to take the weight. If I undid this now, the whole thing would fall, yeah? It's easier when you've got a ramp and it's easier when you've got someone to work with you. Okay, first strut is out. Bit of a pain in the bum. But we got it out and we'll compare the old one to the new one. As you can see, the size of the piston rod on that is quite much more beefier on this. So what I'm going to have to do is, I'm going to have to obviously change the top mounts. So we're going to have to use spring compressors, compress this spring to be able to get this out, and then swap this onto here and with the relevant rubbers as well. Out of joys. It's hard doing this with one hand, you know. Hopefully this should all come off. That spring is under an awful lot of tension. That's why I'm being careful. So now I'm going to slacken it off. There we go. Ta-da! I'm knackered. Okay, nothing ever goes to plan, does it? Suspension top mounts, so you see I just took them off the top. There you go, on the top there. Bolt to the top of the car. And when you turn the wheel, they move, they've got a bearing in them. Well, that bearing is very tired. Let's flip it over. It's 20 years old. And the cover's come off it. I've tried repacking it with grease. It's just a bit notchy. So, for £50 each, it's not worth messing around with. I've got over £1,000 worth of suspension. The car's only as strong as its weakest points. They're not going to last much longer. So I've ordered those, they're going to come in this afternoon. So in the meantime, I'm going to strip the other side off. Great. And I might as well jack up the back and get all the back all stripped down and get them done while I'm waiting. And now is a good time to check out the new springs. These are new springs. These are the old ones. You know what, actually? I've still got the original BMW ones. Hang fire. Let's try that again. Right then, here we have three very different looking springs, all for the same vehicle, believe it or not. We've got the original BMW one, it's non-M-Tech. Then we've got the eBay Special low spring, and then we've got the iBack Pro spring there. As you can see, the BMW one is a lot taller, and they all go down in size to the iBack one. Now, what you'll notice is the eBay Special actually has an extra coil in there, yeah, which, believe it or not, an extra coil makes it softer. I was finding these springs were a little bit too soft. If they were a bit stiffer, they probably wouldn't have bottomed out as much. Even though the iBack one is a lot shorter than the BMW, it is going to be an uprated one. So, and it does look, even though it's a lot smaller, a lot more similar. It is similar to the BMW one, not just because of the colour or whatever, but because of the amount of coils there are. So it will be interesting to get it on. Obviously, with it being a lot shorter, it's not going to need quite as much compressing as a BMW one did to get it on the shock. So let's get going. Right, rear end, and before I do anything, I need to take all the trim out the boot. Obviously, because up there is where the strut top is, And to get that out, I'll take this out, I'll take this out. Do the same on this side. The joys, but let's get going. Oh, thank you very much, BMW. Brilliant. Right, there you go. Top of the rear shuts, either side. At least didn't have to remove much stuff, you know. The joys. Right, rear is about to come off, wheels off. Very similar suspension setup at the rear, but instead of the big pinch bolt, it's just got a bolt coming straight through into the hub from the back. And then let's get it out and we can compare spring sizes from there. Boom. Right, one of the rears is out. I fitted these springs, so I know that they don't need compressing to be able to take the top mounts off because they're that short. So I'm just going to whiz bang off that. Keep my distance just in case, but I'm pretty sure I just put a bit of weight on them when I fitted them. So let's go. Recorded in case, you know, there's an accident. Oh, let's put it to that. There we go. Off, and here's the rear springs. The new IBAC ones, them ones, the middle ones, do look slightly longer. Well, they are slightly longer than the lowered ones, but obviously not as long as the original BMWs. 2468, 2468, 246. So, obviously, IBAC Bilstein know what they're doing. Going to trust the judgment. I'm going to run with these springs and let's get them fitted. The top mounts on the rears are a different design, just like a rubber bush, and they're absolutely fine. I'm not going to replace those, so I can get the rears straight on. All sorted, all ready to go straight back on. Modifying cars. We have a bit of a problem, and it's a pretty big problem actually. So I fitted the rear springs to the rear shocks, everything went on fine. Put them to the car, everything fitted on the car fine, let the car down, and it's riding massively high. So I took them off and just made sure I had done everything correctly, which obviously I have. And then I checked the part numbers on the IBAC catalogue, and they've sent me ones for the convertible. And believe it or not, the convertible is a lot heavier than the coupe, obviously, because of all the strengthening on it. And also the springs they've sent me are for a 5 litre V8 model, which obviously mine isn't, so that's even heavier. So, where are we at? So what I'm having to do is, I'm having to fit the original springs. So I'll show you what I've done. So, here are the IBAC springs, which fit onto the shocks perfectly, because luckily for me, the Bilstein shocks fit every single model of e63 and e64. That's the coupe and the convertible. No matter what engine variant or what body variant, the shocks are still the same. So the shocks are fine. And originally, it was only shocks that I was after, because I was having a snoop around on the internet looking for some shocks, and this deal came up for the full kit at an absolutely ridiculous price. We're talking less than a quarter than it would have been to buy maybe 12 months ago. So, springs unused. If you've got a convertible, if you've got an E64 convertible, give me a shout, because I'll do you a mega deal on some springs. 30mm drop, IBAC. They're brilliant. Part numbers are that for the front. Are they the same for the rear? That for the rear. Yeah, same. Okie doke. So, they're not going to be used. They can't be used. They're the wrong ones for the car. Boom. So, I'm having to put the original springs back on with the Bilstein dampers, which is what I was originally planning on doing, or getting some new shocks, but these were the ones I decided to go for because they're shorter internal pistons. Now, speaking to my friend who is a bit of a motorsport guru, he said, for the road, ideally you want a softer spring and a firmer shock. He says, you'll be amazed how differently these springs will work with the correct length piston in the damper and also the correct valving. So they're going back on. I'm not going to mess around and order new springs. We'll see how these go. It shouldn't affect the ride height at all, but the travel will be a lot better. So let's get these on the minute the top mounts turn up. Obviously, I didn't record any of it, but you can see here, the rears are on, looking very nice with the original springs. The arch gap will obviously come down when the car's back off its axle stands. So just got to get the front on. Pretty straightforward. As you can see, the shock goes into here, sits in. It can only go so far because of the way the shock shoulder is. And then once it's in, you put the pinch bolt through there, tighten it up, and that closes the gap. And then obviously it bolts up there. So let's get fitting. Right, there we go. Front's installed. Looking nice. Could do a bit of a clean under here. But everything's nipped up. Get the wheels back on and let's take it for a drive. Let's go for a little spin and see how good it is. I'm excited actually. Right, like the estate. It's firmer. I'm also just going to be listening for any clunks or clicks or anything. So just give it a bit of a chance to settle in. It is firmer. I can feel it. Feels nice and firm. Responsive. You know what, I think it rides better than it did before. Turning. Oh, it sticks like anything. 60, great. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, it feels mega. Precise, firm but sporty, but not uncomfortable. Oh, I'm so glad I've done this. Pothole? Nothing. Oh, guy in wheelchair. Okay, come back from an initial test drive just to make sure everything was fitted correctly. What a lovely drive it is. I've gone round, I've measured the points, and it has raised it a little bit. It's raised it about 8mm on the front and about 8mm on the back-ish, between 6 and 8. We are within 3mm left to right, but again, we're still waiting for things to settle. And the car is a lot more level. It looks so much better. It just shows you how the tired shocks, just because they had different rates in them, the car was just sitting slightly differently. And obviously, I think in time, because the springs are pretty new as well, I think in time it's just going to settle, go a little bit lower, but I'm very happy with it. It looks mega. It drives mega. And that was definitely money well spent. Bilstein B8 shocks with a nice softer spring. So to summarise, night and day. Absolute night and day. Firm, sporty, but not uncomfortable. I'm on some terrible roads here in the UK. Best roads to try it on. I'm sure on a smooth, it's just going to be mega. Traffic. You can see where buying a premium product makes a difference. Yeah, you can buy cheap coilovers for basically any car and ruin the ride. You can buy expensive coilovers and they work very well on track and on fast road, but on country roads and stuff, not very comfortable. And you can buy just cheap springs like I did and put them over the standard dampers and realise how tired your dampers were. So now we have Bilstein shocks, a lowered spring, it's got all new bushes throughout, new brakes, and just driving lovely. Very impressed. And you can see here we're on bumpy roads, but it is sports. Let's see how it is around these corners. Confident, inspiring. The car's not floating around, it's planted. Feedback through the steering wheel, I can feel the road, I can feel the grip. Brake straight and true. Oh, lovely, lovely. So yeah, to summarise, definitely worth the investment. I'm a happy chappy. Take it easy, guys. See you later. Bye.